This episode is for the writer who wants to take themselves seriously and to be taken seriously by others. Today, I want to point out some key faulty lines of thinking that can sneak into your headspace. First one, that if you want to take yourself seriously, you have to be taken seriously by others first. And two, we get stuck in a loop of waiting for the invitation. Publishing and creative spaces are so full of supposed gatekeepers, but we are the ones who end up keeping ourselves out of spaces that we have every right to inhabit. Today's episode is a juicy one, so let's dive in. You are listening to the Memoir Method podcast, the place for writers, readers, and anyone who appreciates the collective power of our stories. In this podcast, we explore the impact of memoir alongside an examination of writing techniques and strategies used in the genre. Whether you are a writer looking for inspiration and guidance or a passionate reader seeking meaningful connections through shared experiences, the Memoir Method podcast is your go-to conversation spot. I'm your host, Charlotte, editor, writer, and the heart behind Charlotte Writes. Let's get started. Before I get into the bulk of today's episode, I wanted to let you know that now, through the end of the summer, I am hosting a podcast review raffle. The best way for people to find this podcast is when listeners like you rate and review on your preferred podcast platform. For everyone who rates and reviews the podcast between now and August 31st, will be entered to win free access to the entire Writer's Workshop series that I delivered live in June. All you have to do is rate and review the Memoir Method podcast and then fill out the Google form that I have linked in the show notes. Thank you so much. This summer, I've been taking my own writing as seriously as I take yours, and I have thoughts for you that will continue coming to you on the podcast. I'll also be bringing these thoughts to my email list and Instagram, so be sure to subscribe and follow in those places so that you can be fully immersed in this conversation. It is a juicy one, it's ongoing, and is relevant to all of you. So today, I'm going to put myself front and center here as an example of what you shouldn't be doing. So since I was a kid, I have known that I'm a good writer. Writing always came very naturally to me, and I'm good at it. In many ways, I thought that made me a writer. That's a whole other faulty line of thinking that I will dive into more in a different episode. In college, I came across this editing program, and I loved it. I didn't go into my college experience with specific professional goals. I majored in English because I love to read, and I was fortunate that the editing program at my university found me when it did. At the time, this program was a minor. It wasn't even a full-fledged degree program, but I used every opportunity that this editing program brought my way. I jumped into this program. I fell in love with it. I loved working with writers, fiddling with their words, learning the nuances of editing beyond commas and grammar, but I didn't pursue my own writing very much beyond a Blogspot blog. I didn't work on developing my writing very much. I didn't take creative writing courses. I just didn't take that part of me very seriously. I thought, I'm a good writer. I can be a writer whenever I want. And almost 20 years later, I am seeing the limiting beliefs that were at play for me at that time. Yes, I knew that I was good at writing, but I also didn't take my writing very seriously then, or take myself seriously as a writer. I took myself seriously as an editor, and I'll get into why that is in a minute. I was passively waiting for someone else to take my writing seriously and to open up doors for me that I wasn't willing to pursue on my own. So I see my pathways into editing as fortunate, yes. I am so grateful for not only the skills that I've developed, but even more for the people that this career has allowed me to work with. If I hadn't gone into editing, I wouldn't be here talking to you, working with you, supporting you. And my life would be less without that part. And also, P.S., that's my favorite philosophy. And also both and two things can be true at one time. So also, my editing path I can see now was at the time a clear avoidance of my own creative work. Yes, I've always known that when I sit down to write, I have a raw talent that can take me to a point without requiring me to take my writing identity or my writing development seriously. So for a long time, I used my editing as an excuse for not writing. I was waiting, like I said, for someone else to take my creative work seriously while being unwilling to pursue that myself. I was refusing to put myself in a position to be rejected. And it was truly in even outlining this episode that I'm seeing how these pieces of my own creative shadow have played out in my life. I didn't see that at the time. And I'm barely seeing it now. Like, oh, I was self-sabotaging. In some ways, my path into editing is a fine-tuned and very well executed creative self-sabotage. Again, I don't want anyone listening to think that I regret going into editing. I don't. I think it's an essential part of why I am here. I'm wired to be in relationship with people. I'm so honored to be invited into your stories and creative processes. I believe that everything in my life is working out for me, even the parts where I was very subconsciously self-sabotaging. So I wouldn't change anything about my trajectory, if I'm honest. I am so grateful that I get to be here working with you. And I am grateful for the realizations that I've had about my own creative work and process. So if I want to take my writing as seriously as I take yours, and I take your writing incredibly seriously, then I also need to confront this particular creative shadow that has risen to my awareness. No one will take your writing seriously if you don't take it seriously first. I feel like I've been repeating this a lot the past few months because it came up a lot in a recent cohort of the memoir method. I've had to learn that truth over a very long time. And I hope that this episode, this podcast, my spaces generally will help you learn and internalize that sooner than I did. Being a creative person and someone who actually acts on that creativity to make art means that you get to see yourself differently. You get to move differently. You get to create differently. If you want to write and publish a memoir, you get to be a different person from the person you are now. The person you are now doesn't do that. But the person who does do that, that's who you get to think about. That's who you get to start embodying. And those are the changes that you get to start making in your life. This means writing, even if you don't know whether anyone is going to read it. This means taking the long shot and submitting work, getting into writers groups, hiring the editor, investing in your creative development so that whatever raw talent you do have has somewhere to grow. I'll talk more about this at the end of the episode, but once you take your writing seriously, others will notice and start to take you seriously as well. We've all had it backwards, or at least I did, for a long time. You don't need me or anybody else to take you seriously for you to take your writing identity seriously. Once you are the one pouring into your work and your creative identity, then you open up the doors for others to pour into your work and creative identity. But they can't do that if they don't know that you take yourself seriously, that the opportunity's there, the door's open. You have opened the well, opened the door to be invested in by other people because you're investing in yourself first. The writers who catch the attention of readers, editors, publishers, are the ones who champion their own work harder than anybody else. These are the ones who persist even when it feels like they are persisting in a vacuum. And I know that it feels that way. When you continue to persist, it's not a vacuum. You are well supported. You attract the right people into your life and the right opportunities. So this leads me to my second faulty line of thinking. You are waiting to be invited to enter the room. This could be any number of rooms, types of rooms, the room with the editor, with the writing group, with the agent, the publisher, the readers. I am going to use myself as an example again. A little over a month ago, at the time of this recording, I stumbled on an application for a writing mentorship. As I read through the description of this container, I felt my entire body light up. This is a year-long writing container that included monthly small group calls, monthly industry training, quarterly one-on-one mentorship and review, and 2 in-person residencies. The kicker is that this container is specifically for writers who write in the Christian spiritual formation space. That is exactly what I focus on in my writing. My spiritual vocational call as a creative is to sit in spaces of religious and spiritual tension with my writing, to have those conversations with readers through my writing. So as I read that description for this long year writing cohort, I felt in my bones that I was made for it. I spent my entire day filling out the application, and the application was robust. It took me most of the day to fill it out, but I submitted it. I pulled all the writing samples they requested. I reached out to people who could be my references. Again, this was a very involved application, and it was so much fun to fill it out. I actually won't hear back for probably several more weeks. I don't know whether or not I will be invited to participate in this cohort in 2027. But here's what I want you to know. When I submitted that application, I felt in full alignment with who I am as a writer. I saw an opportunity and I acted. I cannot control whether I'm accepted into this group, but I can control the quality of the application that I submitted. I can control my energy around my writing and my process now. I can control how I continue to show up as a writer, both privately and publicly. I'm still publishing on my Substack. I didn't just publish on my Substack so that then I would have something for the application. I'm continuing to do so. I invited myself into the room. This particular room has a bouncer, and not everyone will be invited in. But I showed up at the door anyway. That says, I know that I'm a writer. I'm ready to take myself seriously and to take this work seriously. I'm ready to learn, develop my work, and deepen my process. And I am eager to be in spaces that will help me develop. And everyone who is showing up at this door for this opportunity, asking to be considered and admitted in, is taking themselves seriously. Every single applicant is taking themselves seriously so that this cohort can also take them seriously. Do you see how this cycle works? When you take yourself seriously, you as a writer, what you create, you show up at the room instead of waiting to be invited. No one DM'd me and said, hey, Charlotte, I really want you to apply for this. The organizers, the directors of this program didn't say, oh, I'm going to email Charlotte and make sure that she knows that she should apply. I saw the opportunity and I acted. Just by showing up, you already communicate to others that you are someone they should be taking seriously because you are already seeing yourself as the writer, the thinker, the teacher, the leader, the creator. Please put yourself in the room. You deserve to be there. Even in the rooms like this writing cohort where there is that proverbial bouncer, showing up will do something in you. Applying to the program, enrolling in the cohort, hiring the editor or coach, prove to yourself more than anyone that you are someone to be taken seriously as a creative writer. I am really hoping that I am accepted into this program. It's exactly what I've been looking for. Also, I know that if it's not this one, I will find another one. If it's not this one, I am someone who takes myself seriously enough to find or create another room. I am not relying on this program to take me seriously before I continue to take myself seriously. Even as I'm waiting to hear back, I'm continuing to write, publish on my Substack, engage in the conversation my writing initiates, because that's who I am. I do not need a container to validate who I am as a writer. I know who I am as a creative, and the container, whatever it will be, will follow. So that is what I want you to take away from this week's episode. You do not need the cohort, the editor, the beta reader, the agent to validate your vocational call to create. You get to put yourself in the room, not because you need it, but because you are already the person who belongs there. Creative work is a mind game with yourself. Do you see that? All of those people and spaces help to amplify who you are and how you see yourself. But for them to be the most effective, you have to carry conviction in who you are first. My writers who have the most success are the ones who use my support as a launch pad, as rocket fuel, not as a lifeboat. The writers in my spaces who progress the fastest, finish the draft, publish the book, are the ones who don't need me to feel amazing about what they're creating. They use my support to develop their skills, refine their work, and buoy them through the emotional ups and downs of writing and publishing. Everyone needs support. I want you to find the right support. If it's me, I want to be the person to help you. But my work will be the most effective when you are the one who takes yourself seriously first. Underneath it all, you are the one who has to believe in yourself the most. So I have my own spaces where I would love to see you. No invitation, no bouncer, admittance required. Show up, we will make it happen. The fall cohort of the Memoir Method is kicking off 1 month from today on September 14th. The Memoir Method is my 8-week cohort program where I take you through the methodology that will show you how to articulate the core of your memoir, build the narrative structure around it, and give you the revisions plan and runway to actually finish your draft. So inside of the Memoir Method, you get my eyes on your homework every single week, in addition to weekly workshop calls with the cohort. I keep this space intentionally very small. This room has space for only 6 writers max. So if you're hearing this and feeling the way that I did with that writing mentorship I talked about, hop on the wait list so that you will be the first to know when doors open, because once we reach capacity, I'm closing it. I also offer the memoir method as a private 4-week intensive with me. If private guidance through this work is more up your alley, please email me at hello@bookishedits.com or DM me on Instagram at the.memoir.coach, and we will get you on my books. If you were unsure about what type of support would be the most helpful to you right now, email me, slide into my DMs, and we will figure out what room would be the best fit for you. But please invite yourself in, because you get to be there. You deserve to be there. Thank you so much for listening today. I'm really looking forward to the upcoming episodes we have. I'm looking forward to the rooms that I have for you open. I want you to invite yourself in, and I'll see you next week. You've just listened to an episode of the Memoir Method Podcast. The Memoir Method Podcast is presented by Charlotte Writes. If you liked what you heard, the best way to support the show is to subscribe through your preferred podcast player. And if you're feeling especially inspired, I'd love it if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Leaving a review really does help other readers and writers like yourself find the show. If you want to continue the conversation, you can find me on my website at charlottewrites.co or on Instagram at charlottejanewrites. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. And remember that you have a story that matters.